Okay, hi. Let me start by paraphrasing Alexis de Tocqueville, who was probably the most acute observer of American life in the 19th century. Sometime in the 1830s, he said something like this: America is the single country in the history of the world to be bound only by ideas. And if we don't teach those ideas to every generation of Americans, we're not bound. Now, people say all the time, what is so special about America? Well, you take a look at the name of this theme today, the world within our grasp. That concept, the world in our grasp, could never even have been proposed before America existed. Before America, the overwhelming majority of the people who lived on the planet Earth were not taught anything. They weren't taught how to read or write, or the history of their country or their town. They weren't even taught how to worship God because the Bible was written in Latin. Think of it. Think of a world where at least 95% of the people were not thought important enough to include in the tale of that nation. Unless they were aristocracy or high officers in the army or the church. So, why is America's War of Independence called a Revolutionary War? Whenever I speak to political science classes, history classes, I always ask them that question, and always all the hands go up. And the students answer, because we wanted independence from Great Britain. Wrong. That is not the answer. Wars for independence are as old as the hills. We had a revolutionary war for at least 4 reasons. 1, people did not report to a king. People were a higher authority than any king. 2, we taught everything to everyone. We believed that all people were created equal and therefore were worthy of educating. 3, we created a legal code that said no one was above the law, no king, no pope, no corporate officer, no one. The first legal code in 1,000 years. 4, we gave people the opportunity to make their own fate. Because until we did that, nobody had done that. Nobody had the guts. For the 13,000 years of human civilization, no one had the courage to do that. That is truly revolutionary. Now, it may sound nutty to us, but for most people, for most of human civilization, if you were a sheep herder, the odds were that your great-great-grandparents were sheep herders, and your great-great-grandchildren would be sheep herders. Think about that. Think about being so paralyzed and held immobile and shackled. Think about what your parents do for a living. Whatever it is they do, you do that, whether you wanted it or not. And if you didn't, you starved to death, and that was a given. So try to imagine a world that didn't really change people's ability to rise, to change, to improve their station in life. For all of the years from ancient Assyria until us. If you've already taken American history, you'll remember that our country has, written in the Constitution, 3 branches of government: the executive branch, the president; the congressional branch, the House and the Senate, and the judicial branch, which is the courts. And these three branches described in the Constitution balance each other and are a pretty good system when they work properly. But what is not described in the Constitution is as important, because the most important branch is the fourth branch, you and me, the citizens. Because we decide who goes to Congress and who doesn't. We decide who gets to be president or who doesn't. We do that. So the unwritten part of the Constitution doesn't write out the most important branch, and it's the one that I want you to take most seriously. The smarter the voter, the better the government. The more intelligence that we ask for and allow, the better our industry, the greater our skills in warfare, in statecraft, in the arts. The people we elect to office do not answer to a king. They answer to us, to you and me. And that's about as extraordinarily revolutionary as it gets. And something we should never, ever take for granted. If we had been a European nation and announced what we had announced, they would have hunted us down to the last man and killed every one of us. We were that much of a threat. The more knowledge you have, the more power you have. You teach a person to farm and they will be a farmer. You teach a person to think with clarity, and he can be a farmer or a violinist or a journalist or anything that he or she can think of. The world in your grasp. Teach people how to think with reason and logic and common sense, and you have an unlimited world filled with balance and fairness and innovation. You deny that teaching, and you create a military that won't prevail, and an industry that will be outsmarted, outthought, and out of the loop. And you will turn to your parents and say, how could you have abandoned us like this? You weaken the intellect of American society and make it easier for people to take advantage of you and the system as they do now, and you know it. If you as students are given less knowledge, it shortens your grasp, and the world within that grasp is more limited. The second president of the United States, John Adams, said, "America is unique because it values our progeny more than our ancestry. It values our future more than our past. It connects us to the quality of life we wish for you, our kids, and the world that you will live in. The world in your grasp means agility of mind. It means you're capable of handling anything that's thrown at you. That is why we are the most revolutionary country. We are bound invisibly by faith in our potential. 200 years ago, the world said black people could only be slaves. Now, our president is black. That is the world in your grasp. That's real change. That's real power, and that's the power to remake the world. All of you are Americans, and you have bragging rights in history because we have given more gifts to humanity than any other country. Not lately. We want for you what the Greeks wanted 3,000 years ago: agility of mind, mobility of mind, being light on your feet. And the ironic thing is that the reason for public education in America to begin with was to teach good citizenship. And good citizenship doesn't mean just picking up the dirt from the parks and putting them in garbage cans. Good citizenship means informed citizens. It means a resource pool of intellect. It means informed voters. It means a more knowledgeable country, a better military, a better industry. The classes that teach you all of this have been removed from almost all of our public schools. And I mean almost all. Right now it's down to about 3%. And that's down from about 100%, give or take. The reasons given for not teaching civics are that we don't really need how to learn how to run the country. It's genetic. It's in our genes. We have a leg up on knowing how to run a Republican democracy. That's just stupid. Or that Americans can't afford to educate its children. We just happen to be the richest country in the world. We're the richest country in the history of the world. And we can afford to do anything we wish, if we wish it. They say that there aren't enough hours in the day. And they say that you kids can't handle the complexity of the subject. All of those answers are thoughtless and false because at the end of the day, you don't know the powers you have. And you have the right to demand better. It's going to be up to you to find who is accountable and punish them and be the heroes who save your country. Your life as Americans has already started. It's not something that starts after graduation. So, I'm asking you for your help. Get it back. Unless you are prepared to be completely unprepared for life, which is not pro-American. You tell your parents that you want a more excellent training in how to understand and comprehend this particular Republican democracy. And you get your parents to tap the superintendents on the shoulder so they will know they have the political support they need. America is hard. America takes work. But it's worth it. Don't walk away from it. And start by giving yourselves the chance of being the smartest and most educated you can possibly be. Thanks.